Okay, so welcome back to our second meeting and workshop in our maternal health workshop series. And this one I'm so excited, I'm so passionate about, I'm so full about it. I actually just did a presentation at the first annual Black Midwives Day conference about just birth and about the rituals and the spirituality of birth. So I'm super full. The presentation itself won't necessarily be long as far as like the slides, but we will be filling in so many spaces with a lot of great, powerful information, as much as I have, but also journey through the process, the ritual, the initiation of pregnancy and birth. So I'm excited. All right, and let me go ahead and share my screen. Yay. So last time I noticed after I watched the recording that my screen wasn't recording. Could you see the screen at the beginning of the session, or you could only see me?
I saw both throughout.
Okay.
Now I'm not gonna lie, I did doze off just a couple of times,
But not in
I
the
was in
beginning.
LA, so it was early.
Right, you were there to begin, even if you did doze off. Yeah, so so that's what I thought. And so so Jamila said on her end, I think she might have been on her phone, I'm not sure, but she said on her end, she couldn't see the screen in the beginning until we came back after our break. And when I looked back at the recording, the screen wasn't showing in the beginning either. So I was like, oh, I hope they could see it. So either way, it was really great information. And the screen is just, the slides are just to keep people's attention and offer more information. But today, even the slides aren't even so necessary. So we got some, but again, we'll do a whole lot of talking. So if at any time you're having issues seeing
Okay.
the slides, let me know.
Okay. Now I know, like, I think in the first maybe couple minutes, like when you was doing something with your computer, it didn't, but it was only like literally a few minutes, and then I saw it from then on. I was on my phone. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what that was about, but it's all good. We here now. All right.
Yeah,
So
Zoom could be sometime.
it really is, but thank you, Zoom. Thank you for allowing us to be able to do this, work virtually, impact, more people than just a few. So it's all good. All right.
Yeah.
So today's workshop, we're going to be working through this, is about birth as a rites of passage, the spiritual initiation of pregnancy. So when I say that, does that make you feel like, oh, what is she talking about? Or does that feel like, yeah, this show is an initiation? What are the first thoughts that come to mind?
For me, a spiritual sort of journey, and like an initiation into like a sacred group or society that literally you have to, I guess, you have to be initiated to. You can't just be mother. You could be mother, but as far as birthing and laboring and carrying a child, that's a special honor.
Yeah, definitely. It is true that in this world we live in now, that those who are called to birth may not be called to mother, and those that are called to mother may not be called to birth, right? So it is multifaceted in the initiation process that it means to bring an ancestor into this earthly realm and then raise and rear that person into their purpose, right? So we'll go more in depth in that. And thank you, Code. Everything that you just said is going to be coming up. So here I say woman initiations, right? So when you are born with a womb, I don't necessarily consider those born with wombs automatically women. And I don't necessarily consider because you choose to be a woman, right? There are plenty of people who are born with wombs that don't necessarily choose to be women. Those are constructs that are choices, in my opinion, right? And so that is probably my greatest standpoint on when people talk about queer folks birthing and all that stuff. Like, I fully understand it from the concept that a womb is in and of itself in this sacred space, a thing that has to be something that you embrace fully and honor fully. And if you choose not to do that, that is our choice as human beings. And so when I say woman, and so I call myself a shy woman. And it doesn't negate, dictate, or determine gender. It is about this being a part of this connection to the womb-niverse, which we will talk about, right? So I say woman initiations from preconception, conception, pregnancy, and that was supposed to be birth, not pregnancy. So preconception, conception, pregnancy, and birth. Preconception woman initiations begin when a person born as a girl who starts her cycle, right? So preconception is before we even decide we want to have children. It begins in the phase of childbearing. So the initiation that initiates a young woman into this practice of childbearing is when she starts her first cycle, when they start their first cycle, right? So when their cycle starts, it's the first of many initiations. So when we think about preconception, it really starts there. It is at the marker point that ushers us into this new phase in our journey in the childbearing year. It moves us from girlhood to womanhood. And so there are sacred things that were once done in that time period that many of us have lost, and some have kept, and some are retrieving, right? And so the conception period, the preconception period of ushering and initiating a young woman into her journey of womanhood is that leading up until when one day, if they choose to bear children, and moves on to the next part of their life cycle. Some people stay right there. Some people choose to say, you know what, I don't want to, or some people aren't able to, right, bear children. And so there is from a spiritual standpoint, from a ritual standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, and from a traditional standpoint, there's this almost like, okay, well, if this was your journey, then this is where it is. And it doesn't make you any less of a woman if you choose to, or if it wasn't a part of your purpose to actually bear children genetically. And that's why when I said there are people who are called to be mothers, and there are people who are called to bear children, that doesn't necessarily always have to be one and the same. And so it is important for us, especially in the world that we live in now, where folks who are experiencing fertility concerns are having an outward conversation in a world where people who have experienced fertility concerns, miscarriages, being deemed barren, all of these things, these negative connotations put on those who not necessarily called to bear children. That's a part of your purpose. And so when we talk about spiritual things, and then the opposite side of that coin is the judgment that is had on people who have babies back to back, who have multiple children, and in a short period of time. And I call those women fertility goddesses. I feel like when growing up, I used to be preconditioned to judge girls and women who had a lot of kids. But now in my awareness, I see their gift. I see their gift that the divine has given them to, and that's why I call them fertility goddesses. Some of them are just meant to populate the earth. That is somebody's purpose. So when we get caught up in, unfortunately, we live in a world that doesn't honor these women as who they are, and ostracize them, judge them, think that, oh, they're going to be this, that, whatever. We could get on those conversations about whether they are married or deemed worthy because of this or that, right? Or financially able, questioning their financial ability to care for their children, all of that. When in tradition, these women are honored for bearing life and bringing forth and building community. Because if we don't honor the children being born, the ancestors returning, we don't have a society. We don't have a community if children aren't being born. So because we have now been indoctrinated in this colonial mindset, this Europeanized mindset, this colonized mindset, that you have to bring any more value to the purpose of bringing children into the world other than them simply being and contributing to their purpose, to the betterment of our society. That is why we are born. Our divine purpose is to contribute to the betterment of our society. You don't have to explain yourself by having a child. No matter your age, no matter your class, no matter your economic system, you do not have to explain yourself for doing our divine duty when we are born with wombs. So I want to say that. So now we move into the conscious preconception state in our lives. So the consciousness of preconception is when two people or more, depending on who all's involved, come together and are consciously aware of their journey and their moment in life of being chosen to bear children and bring forth an ancestor into this realm. And when you're consciously, and so sometimes people think, oh my gosh, it was just we was doing it, but it was an accident. No, there are so many ways from the beginning of time. Women have found ways, people have found ways to prevent themselves from having children. Okay, so when people think that children are born by accident, I really, at this point, I don't believe that is actually true at all. I do not believe that any person born and living a life on earth is an accident. And I say that with my chest out because I myself have been raised, and I love my mother, I love my parents, right? But I was born to teen parents. I was born to teen parents. So my entire life, I thought I was an accident. There's no way you could be born to teen parents who aren't married and never got married and not think that you were an accident, right? So when I realized in my awareness and moving into my purpose that there was no way that I could have been an accident because I came here with a purpose. So there's no such thing as someone being born an accident. There is no such thing as an accidental pregnancy. Now, there are unwanted pregnancies, but they're not accidental pregnancies, okay? So pregnancy in and of itself is a majestical, dynamically divine ordinance that happens at a designated time, that is important, imperative for that ancestor to return and fulfill its purpose. And it doesn't matter if that spirit, that energy and went into the womb and didn't come out earthside. It doesn't matter if that energy went into the womb and came out earthside and only lived for 10 seconds. It doesn't matter if that energy lived for 6 months. It matters not how long the purpose was being fulfilled. but that the purpose in and of itself was that the energy chose to come into a womb and somehow impact the lives of those who knew that it existed in the first place. There is something so powerful in that is imprinted upon a womb that has carried life. And it doesn't matter if the life continued on earth, because in it of itself and the impact that it made was its divine purpose. So we mourn. So now I say this because now, and when conception happens, and then the mourning that happens when people experience miscarriage, when people have to release their pregnancy, when there is a medical reason to release a pregnancy, when folks experience miscarriages, meaning they didn't even know they was pregnant, when children are born, stillborn, when children are born and then there's infant death, all of this, people think, oh, this is a reason why, what is going on? Why am I cursed? Why is this? Why is God doing this to me? Why is it me that's going through this? Let me throw out another one. People experiencing extended gestation, and that's a whole nother topic. Experiencing spiritual pregnancies, experiencing all these other, pregnancy is not this cookie cutter way that one size fits all and everybody has the same experience. Your unique initiation is yours alone. Your womb carries its own story. It has to initiate you in the process of coming and becoming that is uniquely to you. And each pregnancy does that. So no, not even every one pregnancy ain't gonna be the same. Your pregnancy, that pregnancy you had, in the next pregnancy, they're not gonna be the same, right? So we have to get out of this colonized perception of childbearing that makes it as though we are mechanical objects, and it's just not even just a mechanical object, but that pregnancy in and of itself is a medical condition. Everything about that is so false. Pregnancy is not a medical condition. It is an initiation. It is a spiritual initiation. So when conception happens, conception is then the calling. Boom. Oh, okay. That meant an ancestor said, all right, I'm choosing these people to come into this world with. And then their own purpose, right? No, so their purpose, the divine contract that was had between the higher selves and the spirits of the parents who are involved in conception, whether it's parents this way, that way, however way the parents happen, right? Their purpose that agreed to bring forth life, the purpose of the ancestor returning and how they choosing to come back into the world, all of it is purposeful. Whether we are aware of it or not, it is still conscious. So conception is that initiation. That is its own initiation process, and however that happens. Pregnancy's initiation is such a unique one, because while conception is a shared experience, pregnancy is seen as an individualized experience. Now I'm gonna hold space for that one. Pregnancy is seen as an individualized experience, but only in the West, only in not even just the West, but only from a colonized perspective, is pregnancy seen as an individualized experience. In tradition, in indigenous traditions, let me be clear on what traditions I'm talking about. In indigenous traditions, pregnancy is a communal experience. While the woman who's carrying the new life is having this in herself on her own, right? She's the one bearing the life, but everyone in the community has a part to play in order to see this new being earthside. It is not the sole responsibility of the woman carrying life, of the partner who helped conceive it. It is the entire community's responsibility to surround themselves, surround this pregnant family in love, to play their part, to hold them in ritual, to be there, to feed them and nurture them, to give them to support, to energetically vibrate high and give nothing but positive energy, so that this pregnancy can be seen unto succession. So when we live in this world that has shown us that sometimes pregnancies are shameful, sometimes pregnancies are something that you need to be, oh, well, people aren't going to be happy for them. People aren't going to, support them. They're not this, they're not that. Oh, that's them. That's y'all business. All this is not how we as a people have carried our pregnancies. It's not, and so I was just actually watching a clip of Professor James Smalls, and he said, since when is a mother only a mother to a child born to her with our people? And that's not who we are. He said not even slavery stopped how Black mothers mothered. He said, because when a child was taken from a plantation from one mother, there was a mother at the next plantation waiting to mother that child. And that child was then replaced, was replaced by another child brought in. That mother mothered that child. So we've always held motherhood as its own sacred practice. And we've honored the ancestors who returned earthside. And the breaking of that is not indigenous to us. Not honoring the children born into the world is not indigenous to us. Not caring for the pregnant women that are around us and making them have to do their own stuff. Women are meant to be treated as the divine vessels that they are when they are pregnant. That is her initiation. That is their initiation. If the person in society, in our communities, are meant to bear life and continue build the continuation of our community, we should be honoring her. We should be caring for her. She shouldn't have to journey through her pregnancy alone and not supported. She shouldn't have to feel like she got to work 2-3 jobs to take care of herself and to prepare for this baby by herself, ever. And the reason why this pains us in our community, and this is a cancer in our community, is because our bodies, our minds, our spirits know that it's not right. Everything about our being feels how alien being pregnant and alone is. It's not indigenous to us. It's not a part of who we ever was as a people. So we need to just be mindful that the way that we see life in our societies are always in the things that we've experienced and how we've grown up over the last couple of decades and more is totally murky by the waters of colonization and white supremacy, right? And patriarchy, because then we have to add white supremacy, patriarchy, right? Where the way in which women are treated who give birth, childbearing folk, right? So then fourth initiation is birth. In initiation, from a ritual perspective, and I'll speak on Elder Malidoma Some, of Water and Spirit, and also the Healing Rituals of Africa, I believe his other book is. He talks about an initiation when you get deep enough in initiation, sometimes you don't come out the other side. You have to have support. You have to have support. You have to have support. While initiation might be again, seem as though it is an individualized experience, in a traditional setting, there are support people monitoring, praying, supporting in the spiritual realm, holding space, grounding the person going through initiation, leading, guiding, divining. In the tradition, no one initiates on their own. And yet we think that pregnancy, birth, and all this is supposed to be done by ourselves. So again, the fourth one is birth. Birth is an initiation that it is transforming, bringing a spiritual, and I'm going to talk further. So I don't want to go too much in depth because I'm about to keep going, but I could keep going. Birth is ushering in an energy that was a being that was pure energy, light, pure energy, and making it physical, birthing it and making it physical, manifesting it physically on this earth realm, and doing so through work, through deep intentional work. That's labor, intentional focused work. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit more, but I'm gonna stop here, move to the next slide, and ask questions. You have any questions on everything I just said? Anything I just said? Sorry.
No, that was a very powerful speech. I was over here like, yes, preach.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. And I said, oh, okay, preach today. Y'all gonna preach on this Sunday, but hey, it is a Sunday, so maybe it's a call to preach. All right, so we're gonna move forward so we don't have to take too much time. I'm gonna be up here with y'all, but I won't be too long, you know. All right, so welcome to the Womb-niverse. So when you realize and acknowledge that the womb is not, this is something that has been in and of itself my pure visual, physical, transformative thing that I've had to really journey through as not only a practitioner, a womb worker, a birth worker, a birth keeper, and an initiate in spiritual practice. The acknowledgement that the womb is not what we think it is. We are told that the reproductive organs of a woman look this, right? But just as much as, and in as much as we can say that the earth looks like this and space looks like this, there are things that are beyond the things we can physically see. There are realities that are beyond the physical ability for us to see, right? And so too, the womb is a space that is in and of itself its own universe. It is majestically unique and divine. And the womb, so if the womb shares the similar characteristics, again, traditionally ancient, in ancient ways, they associate, and even now, we still continue to associate the womb with the depths of the ocean and the vastness of space. And ancient Kemet, the space, right, the sky is the great mother Nut. She stands, and it's her womb that we see, and the sun is seen as the sun is her son, right? That she births each day and brings and welcomes it back each night. That's how in ancient Kemet they saw space. So in ancient Kemet they saw space and attribute space to the womb of a woman. in Yoruba and other traditions connected to Yoruba, water, the great water, Mami Wata, Yemaya, is the great mother whose children are as many as the fish. They associate the motherly qualities and ability in life being given with the depth, the sea, the ocean, the vastness of the ocean. Again, so too, that is how vast, numerous, infinite, and and unexplainable the womb is. All right. The womb is more than we could ever fully, consciously be aware. How life can go in and come out. How does that work? So we could go into the biology of something, but we could never explain God. And that is what science, biological Western science has tried to do, but spiritual science understands, and understands that we can't explain God. We can honor God, we can be grateful to God, but the force in which a woman is able to carry life in her womb is God. Conception and that connection to the divine, only God can create life. So anything that is born female or with the ability to have a womb and carry life in it on this planet to continue life is connected to, and is it even can be argued that it might just be God, right? Yeah, I could argue it. I have before, but I'm not going to do it today. So in and of itself, the ability to create life is us activating our God force. We are connected to source. We are one with source, and we are practicing that divine connection by bearing life in our womb and birthing it forth. So the womb-niverse is that magical space that I want people to honor and understand and overstand and know that there's nothing more we can really know. It is beyond understanding. So when a woman questions her body and oh my gosh, why does my womb do this? And I say this as a woman who's done these things, right? So I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to everybody else, like, when we question, why is my womb like this? Why is this like this? Why is this like this? Let's say this, that any pain attributed to our wombs, fibroids, endometriosis, cancer, all these things, right? PCOS, any things that are painful attributed to our womb is often because we are not honoring our wombs. When we do things that don't honor our womb-niverse, then we create the pain and discomfort that is physically manifested by doing so. We've never been taught often to care for our wombs. We don't even understand the connection we have to our wombs. When we start our cycles, there's no ritual being done. There's no honoring of that phase of initiation. There's no respect given. Then we're in a world where all of these products are stuffed in put near our sacred space. We are contaminating and polluting our womb-niverse. And we think that it's not going to try and detox itself. And we think that the detox is not going to be painful when we've spent 20, 30 plus years contaminating our wombs. Birth control, I'm not gonna get on that. I won't do it today. But birth control is its own little thing that really, and I'm not saying this out of judgment, because I have done the same thing out of my ignorance, out of the ignorance of my own mama, out of the ignorance of her mama. Those things, the ignorance was passed down to us instead of the wisdom of how to be in relationship with our wombs. And that's not their fault. that again comes from the colonized way in which we live our lives in this world. The patriarchal ways in which we live our lives in this world. We've been told that our wombs are not something that should be respected and honored, and that we should cover it up, and that we should stop it from bleeding. We should stop it from doing its thing that it's supposed to do. We should prevent pregnancy at all costs. We should prevent bleeding at all costs. That's intentional. We were intentionally brainwashed, and now we're living, physically having to live with the consequences of dishonoring our sacred vessel, of not acknowledging and recognizing the divine universe that sits within us, that dwells within us. And we were taught to be ashamed of it our entire lives. So I truly, what I'm gonna say here and move on, is that it is important for us, as we're reclaiming our relationships to our bodies, as we are relearning our relationship to the divine in such a spiritual way, and also teaching ourselves how to honor ourselves, so that when we bring our children in the world, we will understand and understand and understand how important it is to teach them differently than what we were taught. Because another part of your initiation as a pregnant person is knowing that you are divinely responsible right now to learn these things, because you wouldn't be here if not. You wouldn't be here if you weren't divinely sanctioned to relearn and understand and overstand and journey through this initiation, so that you can come out on the other side prepared to be the best parent to bring your child, your unborn child, this ancestor return into this world the way in which it's meant to. Nothing happens by coincidence. Nothing happens by accident. You're learning these things in order to bring your child into this world knowing better. So the womb universe is a magical, mysterious, majestical, bountiful, abundant place. Our wombs are places, the place in which we manifest any and everything we want. It must be cared for. Any and everything we want, not just children. I say we birth businesses, beings, and blessings. Okay, we could birth beings if we choose to, but even if you don't choose to bear children, know that pregnancy and the initiation of such and everything that I'm speaking about right now is not just for physical children. It's for the thing that you're supposed to birth in this world. It's for the idea, the business, the blessing that you're supposed to have, that thing that you're supposed to manifest and bring from your womb universe into this physical world. You could do that with anything because you were born with a womb, period. Okay, so any questions or comments on that? And we can leave the Q&A at the end, actually. So I'm going to go finish through, okay? So I say here, every initiation, so if you have any questions, put it in the chat. That's what I'm going to say. If you have any questions, put it in the chat, please. So if you want to keep the question, every initiation, it don't matter where. Think, okay, so before I even say this, while initiation and ritual from a traditional perspective was stripped from us, right? Because it was stripped from us in the ways in which our ancient people did it, right? Our ancestors did it. But we still experience initiation. It's just done in the way that they want us to do it. And you know who they are. So when they want us to do it, what do? We go into school. We start school at a young age. You know, they put us in pre-K and all that. When we get to kindergarten, we graduate. When we get well, pre-K, we graduate to kindergarten. When we get to 5th grade, we graduate to middle school. When we get to 8th grade, we graduate to high school. When we get to 12th grade, we graduate to college. We get to college, we graduate to graduate school. Get to graduate school, we graduate. And then we're supposed to be knowing what to do with the rest of our lives. And then wait. So then you become what? A PhD, a doctor, and then you're supposed to teach other people how to matriculate into this same system of initiation. Initiation isn't foreign to us. They just took the real nature-based initiations from us. Initiation isn't foreign to us. They just substituted our traditional practices of how initiation is done to honor our purpose, and they gave us their view of purpose. They gave us their rites of passage, that you should matriculate into these processes and then become a doctorate, a scholar, and then go back and teach more people how to do the same thing, right? That's not theirs, it's ours. So we know how initiation works. We're just idolizing it from a different perspective instead of honoring it from a traditional perspective. So that's my 2 cents on initiation. So every initiation needs support. When I say it needs support, it's like, and so since I use education process as the example, every student has a teacher. Every initiation needs support. In tradition, there are people who lead and guide you through your initiation process. When you are in initiation of pregnancy, it is important to have support that also understands your purpose, because again, this just the same way that I described how they flipped our life practice of initiation to an educational model for their standards, right? Their value standards. They did the same thing in birth. So when you get pregnant, what do? You go to the hospital, you get all these tests, and you get your OB, and you go and keep taking tests and keep taking tests and keep taking tests, because you are forced to believe their opinions over your intuition, right? So they want to control birth the same way that they've controlled us in education. So when you need the support that you need from a holistic and traditional perspective is the birth worker that works with you, your birth support person, your birth assistant, your doula, whomever, right? Your sister friend who know a whole bunch about babies and birth and stuff, whoever that person is, you need that person. You need your midwife, the person who's going to get you through this process, who's going to make sure your baby get here safely, right? And preferably one who is connected to spirit and understands that you are not a machine. And you need the support people around you. You need your family. You need your friends. You need the people you could trust, not folks that, might be talking junk behind your back and say, oh, I don't know why she having that baby right now. Didn't this just happen? Oh, I don't know why she having that baby with him. Cause don't he got about 5, 6, 7, 8 kids? Like all that. You don't need those people around you. You don't even need to tell them about your pregnancy. There's a lot of people you don't need to tell your pregnancy to. You only need to tell it to people who understand and get your experience, who are willing to support you no matter what, and not going to judge you, but going to celebrate you. Because in tradition, all birth is celebrated. Whether it's a teen mama or an old woman, they all gonna be celebrated, because that life deserves to be honored, not discussed, and not disrespected in any way, shape, or form. So people should not tell folks their pregnancies when they know that those people aren't able to be trusted. They're not supposed to tell folks who are going to have evil eyes and bad intentions and start, criticizing them and start gossiping about them. We got to get out of that. We got to stop telling folks our business who don't mean us no good. Not everybody trying to celebrate your wins. If you announce on social media that you started a business and nobody one hand claps you, visits your business page, buys something from you to support you, then them same people who ain't gonna support your business and ain't gonna like that post and they gonna not share your stuff, because I share everybody. I share all of my friends' stuff. I don't care if you're my friend or not. If I didn't talk to you and I believe in what you're doing, I'ma share it. I'ma share it in my status. I'ma share it, okay? Because at the end of the day, everybody deserves to be celebrated for the thing that they birthing into this world. Period. So if you notice that more often than not, nobody's sharing your stuff, stop telling people who won't even share your business or your idea or whatever, and they won't celebrate you in something like that. Stop telling them your business. And that's something that we really got to get away from, because back in the day they knew not to do that. But in this day and age, all the things that we do, right? Social media got us thinking we supposed to do all the things and that all the people supposed to be happy for us. And that's just not true. That is just not true. So yes, you need support, but it needs to be the right support, because the wrong support will have you stressed out. The wrong support will have you doubting yourself. The wrong support will have you, up in there, stressed, worried the whole pregnancy, freaking out about little stuff, feeling like you just not going to be able to do it. And it makes a very difficult birth. It makes a very difficult postpartum experience. It makes it very difficult for you to feel supported in your mothering journey. And people just, I feel like I'm noticing more and more how we don't associate it all. We just don't associate it. We don't associate the fact that there are words that have power are being said in and around and about us that are blocking our ability to access these new parts of ourselves, to access the success and the joy. And you're like, I wonder why I'm not happy about this, because there are people who are speaking against you being happy. That's their job. They don't even know that that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. So we got to be careful about that, because the support, you need support, but it needs to be the right support. All right, requires ritual. Ritual is what connects us and grounds us to nature, to earth, to our ancestors. Ritual is an extremely important aspect of initiation, aspect of pregnancy, aspect of life that we've totally become disconnected from. And we have to bring it back, because rituals gonna get us through it. And I do believe, I from everything in me, from what I know now, I do believe that every pregnancy requires ritual. And at least if you can't access a spiritual community that's going to support you through ritual, it's important to create your own. And so I have that in my workbooks, right? And in my childbirth education course, like talking about how ritual is important. And that's actually going to be we're going to practice some ritual in it might be our next workshop. So we'll practice ritual. So I speak of ritual, but we'll practice ritual and practice how to create your own ritual in your initiation process. Now, there are depths and layers and levels that I can't talk about, that I'm still learning, that I'm growing in, right? And I look forward to the day that I can serve people more profoundly in this way that I have experienced service by my elders. And so ritual, again, is our connection and reconnection to the divine, to nature, to our ancestors. It's not negative. It's not anything. Ritual is anything you do with a specific intention that you want specific results. Let me be very clear. So that's what it is. So if you say every morning your ritual is, I say, 3 affirmations, ain't gotta be a lot. I say, or 1 affirmation in the morning. I say it in the middle of the day, and I say it at night, every day throughout my pregnancy. That's ritual. If you say, okay, well, each day I have a little altar. If you say I got an altar for my pregnancy, and I light a candle and I talk to my baby every day, that's a ritual. So ritual don't have to be something bigger or small. It don't have to be big. It don't have to be outside of you. You are the ritual. It's about being conscious and aware of your connection to your God, to your source, to the source within, and connecting to that often. It don't have to be every day, but connecting to it often. Okay. And deserves recovery. I highly doubt, I highly doubt anyone in tradition, in our ancient times, in our ancestors, and anyone who honors initiation, I highly doubt that they don't ever have a time of recovery. I highly doubt it. So think about it like this. If back in the day, when and not even back in the day, but in indigenous communities, and if they choose to do circumcision, right? It's an initiation. Circumcision, and from a traditional perspective, is an initiation into manhood. So they didn't do it to them as little boys. They did it to them once they went through initiation. There's no way that a young man who just got the foreskin of his penis cut off is going to be up and jumping or having sex or whatever else the boy's going to do, right? He's going to recover. Okay. So the same way that recovery is necessary in everything that we do, that took hard, arduous work and labor, you need to recover. So if you've done something that is life-changing, so for example, a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago now, I ran a half marathon, 13.1 miles. Okay. I trained for that marathon for 5 months and then ran it. And the week before, I actually ran a 5K, which was not that bad. I thought, oh, we on this thing. The 5K was like my jogs from training, right? So I ran the half marathon, and it took me months to recover. Because you have to think, you're not just recovering from the marathon, you're recovering from the process. So when in pregnancy and birth, postpartum period after giving birth is your recovery. You're not recovering from your labor. You're not recovering from the 12, 14, 24, 7, however long your labor is. You're recovering from the process. Your body has to go back as much as it can to its original form before you conceived life. Not even before your baby started growing, but before you conceived life, before the life was in your womb, your cycle has to come back on, right? That means you're going back to the process, before the beginning of it. So you must recover. 40 days is a minimum. 40 days is a minimum recovery period. Your body has to heal. You have to come back together. You have to honor your experience. And every initiation requires recovery. So the 40 days postpartum, your postpartum period is that's something to honor, to respect, to rest and recover. so that just in case you choose to do it again, your body is prepared to do so. Women who do not honor their 40 days, their 6 weeks, whatever, however long you want to count it, when they don't honor it, they're highly susceptible later in life to have extreme conditions. And they think, oh, well, I was able to have a baby again. They think, oh, the immediate things aren't going to add up. But you do that long enough, they have prolapsed uteruses later in life. There's so many things. There's so much that I'm not going to go in depth because that's not what this is about. But when we don't acknowledge that this was an initiation, birth, labor, all that we went through, pregnancy, going back to everything that I said, was something that you, as a process that your body has to recover from in order for your initiation to be complete. Okay. And this photo is me supporting a sister giving birth. It was a beautiful experience. Loved it. I mean, life-changing, one of the most life-changing births I've ever witnessed. This photo is my initiation. It wasn't my initiation as a mother, but my initiation to this work. And I had served families before, but I experienced something that I knew meant that I'm supposed to do this for the rest of my life. I truly believe that. I witnessed a miracle, and I'm here today because of this. So this experience is how I know without a doubt that pregnancy is spiritual and that pregnancy is an initiation. So I'm not saying this just because I read this from some books, y'all. It ain't in no books. It's not in the books, okay? I'm writing the book, okay? So this is not in books. This is from experience. And I just want us all to get to that place of fully honoring, acknowledging, and only accepting people in your lives who honor your initiation. Don't give nobody power to speak against your experience. Don't give nobody power to bring any type of negativity against your initiation into motherhood. They don't have the right, but we try and give it to them anyway. That's ours to keep and hold dear and honor and respect. Don't give no doctor. Don't give nobody who say they're your friend. Don't give your mama. Don't give nobody any power to disrespect and dishonor your initiation. No matter how the outcome of your pregnancy transpired. Just as I said, the moment that light chose you, that ancestor chose you, no matter how long it chose to be here, if it chose to stay, that is your process. And it is up to us to remember that people can't take from us anything we're not willing to give them. They can't. So I want to say, take it all back as I'm coming to a close, as I'm on close today, as I come to a close today. So step down, take it all back. Take back everything that anyone ever spoke against you. Take back all that power, the power of being upset, the power of being hurt, the power of feeling disrespected, dishonored. Take your power back. Let them have that negativity. It's not going to affect you. Don't give it any power or authority over you in your process, because this initiation is yours. Everything about this is yours. You're chosen to take your own journey. Don't let nobody come into your pregnancy and tell you they 2 cents about oh, you know what a doctor said when I had my baby, this is what happened. And I had to have an emergency C-section because this, and this. Okay, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm not you. I'm sorry that happened to you, but that's not my experience. I'm sorry that happened to you, but the ancestor that's returning in me is not the ancestors that are returning you. I'm sorry that happened to you, but the purpose that is within me is not the same purpose that's within you. I'm sorry that happened to you, though. We realize that often people share their fear and their pain instead of their joy and their triumph. Don't let people bring you down because they feeling down. Don't let them bring their fear because they fear over to your plate. What sustains them and nourishes them ain't gonna be what sustains and nourishes you. So be mindful. I'm gonna end that by saying be mindful and who you share your joy with, because some people just not here for that. It's your initiation. There are things that are going to be imparted in you and your pregnancy that's not given to somebody else. It's for you. It's for you. Hold it dear. Write it. It's yours. Journal it. It's yours. Honor it. It's yours. So I'm closing today with a recitation of a prayer and shared to us by Elder Sabun Fusome and Welcoming Spirit Home. I feel like I'm about to use this prayer everywhere, okay? And we pray. Ancestors, we heard a call and we answered it. Now our hearts are rejoicing. We thank you. You who have come into our sister's home. We welcome you. You who have opened the doors to the great mysteries, we honor you. We value you. Our hearts and hands are open to welcome you. Let us hold you. Let us make a safe space for you. Ami, 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 Ashe, Asheo. Thank you. Amen. 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 All right. So that is the end of our presentation. So that's the end of our presentation. I'm going to open the floor for Q&A. And if you're watching this replay, then feel free to put comments in wherever you're going to have a comment space in, or send me an email, whatever works for you. Give me a chat. So let's connect. Thank you so much for your time. I am grateful. I honor your process. I honor your journey. And thank you for allowing me the privilege and honor to be a part of it. Namaste, namaste, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation and talk, and a lot of good revelations in there.